Well, it's Friday afternoon in the Oklahoman's Video Studio. I'm Dave Morris. Happy to be joined by Aurora Lora, who I've just met. She's the interim superintendent for Oklahoma City Public Schools, acting superintendent through June 30th. That is the day the district parts way with Rob New, who is on paid administrative leave. They decided, school district, to part ways with him last month. Aurora, it's very nice to meet you.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
Well, thank you for that. Busy times for you. We've been following you this week as you've been visiting various schools, North Highland Elementary, Northwest Classen High School, Hillcrest Elementary. You probably stopped at more locations than that. How's that been going? What have you been hearing?
You know, it's been a really great experience. I've been out at probably about 10 schools so far, visiting with teachers, school support staff, principals, school nurses, just learning about their experience in our district from the front lines and what I can do to improve the district. Well,
that's my question. Why? Why did you decide, hey, this is one of the first things I want to do?
Well, I think it's really important for people in senior leadership at Oklahoma City Public Schools or in any district to find regular ways to get out and talk to, hear about the experiences of our people in the front lines in various different roles, because we make really important decisions that are going to impact their lives, and their voices need to be part of those conversations.
So what did you hear from those voices?
You know, I've heard a lot of different things. Some of the big common themes that we're hearing are, one, just the impact that the budget cuts are having on schools and how hard this coming year is going to be as a result of increasing class sizes, just reductions in the number of assistant principals. It's going to be really challenging because of the 208 teacher positions that we've cut. Another big theme that I've been hearing is just the need for stability in the district. People have been getting really frustrated by the fact that every 2 years we seem to have a new superintendent. They come in, they change all the programs, everything we've been piloting or trying to get off the ground seems to go out the window with a new superintendent. And so people are just tired of that. And part of it's they feel like to see long-term lasting change, we have to have some stability in senior leadership at the district.
The Oklahoman has reported since the year 2011, people have held that position as superintendent of Oklahoma City Public Schools. How important is consistency in that position?
I mean, it's really important, and the tenure of urban superintendents in this nation is it's not very long. It's a really challenging job.
I think the average is, what, 3 to 4 years maybe?
It is, possibly lower for big urban districts. And so exactly what I'm hearing from teachers and principals and staff, every time we have turnover, things change again in the district. And it's just really difficult to sustain change, to determine whether programs actually work if you are just barely getting it off the ground by the time it goes away. And so what people are saying is we need stability. We need to keep the same programs. Let's actually invest and make sure we're doing it well. Get us all the materials, and let's just stop having change all the time.
We're hearing Rob New missed about 28% over 2 years of work, basically. Your thoughts on that as it ties into consistency?
Well, what I can say is, you know, I just think it's important to be present, to be around so that employees can talk to you, so that you know what's happening, and that's something that I will commit to doing for as long as I'm in this position, or as long as I'm working for the district.
2 issues the district is facing: discipline and budget. We'll get back to budget in a second,
Sure.
But school discipline, student discipline, has a lot of interest among teachers and administrators, and maybe some of the feedback you've heard recently.
Oh, absolutely. We talk about discipline at every stop I've made.
And so what are they saying? What level, what's their concern? They don't have enough authority? They fear for their safety? What level are you hearing?
Yeah, I think a lot of what I'm hearing is we've changed the code of conduct. We have made it clear that we want to see fewer suspensions for students or shorter suspensions. But what teachers have told me they're feeling is we have not put enough support in place for them to know, so what do we do if we don't suspend a student who's acting out? We don't have enough supports in the school. We don't have enough counseling and mental health supports for students who might be experiencing challenges, and this is how it's manifesting. And we haven't had enough training. And so those are 3 things that I've really heard, that I've listened to, that I agree with, that we need to do better as a district. And so we recently got the OCR, Office of Civil Rights resolution that came out, which basically is going to mandate that we as a district provide more support. And I'm happy for that, because it means that even though we're in really tough budget times, supporting schools is something that we can't not do. And so what that means is we are going to have to, even in tough budget times, figure out a way to still invest in supports for teachers in that area. And so you will see more supports coming next year, even though we're cutting $30 million.
You still have to make roughly, what, $17 million in cuts to counter the state's projected revenue shortfall.
Yes.
How hard is that experience? Where do you expect to find those cuts?
I mean, it is really challenging. So up to this point, we had cut 208 teachers, which totaled about $7 million out of 30. We cut 92 central office or leadership administrative support positions. That totaled about $5 million. So 300 people, that only totaled 13 million, and we have to get to 30. So for the remaining 17 million, what we're looking at are program cuts, reductions to budgets for supplies, looking at eliminating things like non-federally funded travel, reducing contracts with consultants, taking away some programs that we've had. So what's going to happen is next week I'm going to announce probably the next $10 million of cuts that we're ready to kind of move forward with. And then the remaining $7 million, I'm just going to say those are going to be really painful just because $30 million is a ton to cut in a small school, in a district that has the funding that we have. We were already funded pretty low, so we're stretched really thin as a district. And so to cut $30 million from that, it's going to be devastating for public education.
We're talking with Aurora Lora, acting interim superintendent for Oklahoma City Public Schools. Aurora, you came to us from Dallas where you oversaw, 50 schools, a large amount of schools in a major metropolitan area. How's your transition to Oklahoma City? Tough job ahead of you notwithstanding. How's the transition here going?
I have loved my experience here. I think I'm so glad I made the decision to come here 2 years ago, even though I didn't get the superintendent position.
Do you think you should have got that job?
You know what? I think I had some more learning to do, and I took the feedback that they gave me from my interview. I really spent the last 2 years trying to invest in getting stronger in those areas. So I'm glad I came here in the role that I did. I learned a lot from Mr. New, and also just learned a lot by putting myself on some district committees to learn about aspects of the job, the superintendent job that I wasn't as familiar with, like operations, those kind of things. So I think the issue is I'm ready now, but I've loved my experience here. This is a great city. We've got everything I love about big cities is here in Oklahoma City, but with less traffic, and the people are nicer. So I'm here for the long run. I love it.
You're spending your week hopping from school to school, working on budgets this weekend, perhaps doing some moving this weekend. You have a lot on your plate these days.
I sure do, but I have a lot of energy, so it's full steam ahead.
There's some fair answers. I was watching as we wrap up this interview, I was watching the Oklahoma City School Board meeting when they were voting. People are upset. Some of the people, and you heard them when they were coming up there, and whether they are well-informed, they certainly seem well-intentioned, but they're passionate.
When they were voting for?
Not the voting, the people that spoke, parents, public citizens, whatever, who came to that school board meeting. Is that kind of what you're hearing across the board? Is people fired up, whether they are perhaps upset at something, or just, hey, we really have a need here?
Yeah, I think this is a really passionate community, and I think people really want someone to hear their voices and to listen to the input that they have for improving the school district. And I think, two things that I've really been hearing, I think, from community is just the need for transparency at the district level, which I'm trying to do and be more transparent in the decisions that we make. And also just the need to regularly engage people, parents, community, teachers. I got requests today that the school nurses want to talk to me, and the bus drivers and nutrition services workers, and I think every voice is important, and I want to hear what people at all levels of support for our organization have to say about the future of this district.
You answered that far better than I asked that, but that's exactly what I was getting at. You're hearing various voices from various people.
Yes.
She's Aurora Lora. She's the interim superintendent for Oklahoma City Public Schools. This is an overview conversation with her. More in-depth reporting from our Tim Willert can be found in the Oklahoman and online at newsok.com. Aurora, thank you for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.